All right, look, we live in the den. This L Train. I'm here with Miles, Wing, and Big Happy.
Alright, so we back live, man, inside the den, man. We finished up with season 1 at Georgetown with L.
Hold on, what he thought about Georgetown? I got a question though.
We're gonna go right back.
Should have been better. But like, we see how you got Eastern, how you got Georgetown.
No, we got to finish up Georgetown.
No, yeah, we're gonna finish Georgetown. I want to ask you, what's some of the obstacles that you had to endure to get to Georgetown? Like, come from College Park.
It wasn't no obstacles as far as basketball because I ain't had no clue. So pretty much that fell in my lap. That was a blessing. But the obstacles coming from Congress Park was different because, you know, during that time, that era, the 80s was like, sheesh.
I bet you them Congress Park motherfuckers wasn't coming across that motherfucking bridge to go to Georgetown to watch no game.
They was locked up. It was like right before I went to Georgetown, like 30 some of my friends.
Can you imagine them motherfuckers up in McDonald?
Oh, know who was up there? Vale was up there. Vale.
Oh, I know he's been there.
Ty and KD, them three, they was there. They used to come to the parties and everything. But the other dudes on the other side, it's like 30 of them got locked up all together at the same time.
God damn.
No indictment. They snatched all of them up. And they all home. The ones that still alive.
Yeah, I can imagine that Congress Park crew up in them stands at McDonald's.
Oh, that would have been crazy.
Yeah.
That would have been ugly. Yeah. Shit, we was playing at the Cap Center then.
Y'all was at the Cap Center?
Yeah, we was at the Cap Center. Yeah. Yep. But nah, they ain't crossed that.
So season 2 at the up on the hilltop. How did that go?
They brung in Dwayne Spencer, Othello Harrington, Eric McCool, dude from France, and played all three of them in front of the 6 freshmen that was there already. So I felt
Robert
Churchwell.
Yeah,
he was a senior that year. So I felt lied to. I feel like I was in a trick bag.
You told he left.
Because he told me that when the old boy left, next year gonna be my time.
You the shining star, okay.
Right. So then when Othello came in, that preseason, I was going off. Mm-hmm. Like I was having 20 at halftime. They was benching me the second half. I was doing my thing. So one game I'll never forget, RIP again to E-Ball. We were playing in McDonough against the Navy. I'll never forget this game. He was sitting on the floor right across from the bench. I showed my ass off. I just had a little light surgery too. I had a chip in my knee from practice. Somebody had fouled me and I fell on my knee and I'd be running and the little chip would get in there and lock. And I had to wiggle my knee to get it out. But I was playing so good, I ain't tell nobody. So we playing in practice one day and the shit locked and I couldn't wiggle it out and it wouldn't come out. So I was running and limping. So they gave me an x-ray and all that shit. So I got it taken care of. And at the same time, Spreewell had just had a surgery, something similar. And he came back in 13 days. So Ms. Michaels, the trainer, she was like, yo, we're going to beat him. She was like, you got to work, though. So it only took 9 days. And I actually came back, like, stronger, too.
Yeah, old Ms. Michaels. Good people.
Yeah, RIP to her, too. So I came back stronger. So then we out there playing Navy, E-Ball sitting right across. And I had, like, 27 in the first half. And I ain't get in the second half, and he just was looking at me. He was like,
27, and you big fella ain't played the whole second half.
And he was like, he did like this, like, call me. That's the night he got killed.
No,
I was paging him after the game. Never respond. He always respond. He ain't never respond. Then that morning, somebody called me, my man, because E-Ball was friends with somebody he knew, and they was like, hey, did Slim get killed? I was like, no, not that I know of. And it happened, so he was gone. But that game was before our first regular season game. Mm-hmm. So we get to the regular season. I'm sitting down. We at the Cap Center. We at home, sitting on the bench with the starting 5. Everybody standing up. They get to calling names. Craig Estrick tapped me on the shoulder like, hey, come here real quick. So I'm hopping up. I'm all sweating from the warm up. I'm ready to go. Debut.
Because you was starting.
Right, debut. I got up. Somebody sat down. I'm like, what's going on? And I ain't getting the game to the second half. Because we was down and losing. They was pressing, so they put me in the inbound the ball on the press to help break the press. So that's what they used to use me for, to break the press and stuff like that. So I was like, This nigga Othello. He was a McDonald's All-American, everything. So John was pushing him. John had that man throwing the ball off the backboard to get extra rebounds to pad his stats. He was telling him that in practice. Yeah, but he wasn't that guy. I couldn't respect it.
I didn't think Othello was that guy.
No,
either.
I just played with Zoe. He's not Zoe. I couldn't respect that. I wasn't being no knucklehead, so I just started going harder. I got in practice, I would just exploit everything. I'd go at Dwayne Spencer, I'd go at whoever. I was just going at everybody within the system. Right. I wasn't going outside the system, but I was in so much shape. I was in great shape, everything. I was just going. That wasn't good enough. So here's the kicker when I knew I was going to leave. We played UConn. There's like 7 minutes left in the game. We was horrible the whole game, down 20-something points. He throw in the towel, he throw the bench in. Me, John Jocks, my man Kevin Millen, Dirk Patterson, we was all freshmen, Chico, Irvin Church. He threw us in the game, gave up, threw the towel in. We came back and won. I had like 5 assists, like 3 steals, got it done. We go in the locker room, I'm sitting in my locker, the media come in, all the media come in, all white dudes, one black dude, right? So I'm just sitting there putting my stuff on. They asking all these questions. Then the black dude say, Lonnie, it seemed like you could easily average 20 in the Big East. Why you ain't getting no playing time? Craig asked, excuse me. Hold on for 1 second, please. I need to speak to him. He said, come here. Took me in the bathroom. I go in the bathroom, Big John in there. He like, look.
I imagine how that went.
Straight intimidation. Look, tell them that you've been playing better and your time gonna come. You're gonna eat, like pretty much trying to put it on me.
Yeah. I
go back and sit down. They was like, yeah, so what's going on? I said, I'd rather not say nothing. And John was standing behind them. Ashley was standing behind them. And I was like, I'd rather not say nothing. I'm gonna leave it as that. So the black dude was like, we already know what's going on. Just keep your head up, whatever. I'm like, I'm cool. So usually we'll stay and fly back in the morning. Nigga, John had a bus outside. We got on the bus, drove home 8 hours. When we got to the gym, we walked to the gym to get our stuff, put our bags up. Our uniforms is on the chairs. He was like, get dressed. This out there 8-hour joint.
The practice uniform.
Made us run. Had us out there running because of me, because of what I said in the joint. And I was first, though. I ain't never let them break me. I was first. Pew. I ran everything hard. I ain't complain. I ain't say nothing. He just kept trying to break me. I wouldn't break. So that day was really when I just thought, like, something ain't right. I ain't know nothing about transferring yet.
Right.
Until this whole Maryland situation happened. But I'll get to that, though. But after that game, then another game came. We played Miami. Joey Brown got hurt, sprained his ankle in practice. Irk McCool's shoulder came out of place. He was the backup point guard. Lamont Morgan sprained his ankle. So he was so pressed to not let me, John Jocks, or anybody run the point. He put Robert Churchwell at the point.
Oh, right.
Church ain't no point.
Right.
So that wasn't working out.
Church damn sure wasn't no point.
Right. So he had to go to us. In that same game, I cut my hair off. That's the first time I had a bald head because I had a rash in my head. So when I went up to the doctor, he was like, you gotta cut your hair off so the topical medicine can get on there. I get to the gym for shoot around, they going on me about that. You always trying to be different. First you wear the long socks, now you get a bald head.
And that big ass jersey.
Right, this is the first time I yelled. I was like, I got a rash in my head. I was pissed off. I was like, I got a rash in my head. Look, see, you see it? And I was pissed off that day. So we on the bench playing Miami. The shit ain't work out with him running the point. That nigga looked at us and said, sub. He stopped me. He was like, don't make an ass out yourself. I smiled. Because he ain't had nobody else to put in. I had my best game in college. 27, 5 assists, 8 rebounds, 5 steals, and we won. And after that, I was just like, I was comfortable. I was like, you know what? I know I can play. He ain't gonna break me. My head ain't gonna get messed up over all this. I'm just gonna go do what I do whenever I get in the game. Like, just like that, straight like that. So from there on, it was a little friction, but he knew he needed me. But he had just put me in a situation still. And I ain't never get no real burn the next year. I got more burn freshman than I did sophomore. Mm-hmm. We ain't even go to the tournament. Went to NIT. I'm like, you riding on Othello? He ain't Zoe.
Right.
He is not Zoe.
So your point now
20 pump.
All the way down.
20 pump fake Othello.
Yep. It went all the way down. So after that, though, I was talking to this girl on campus, and she was talking to somebody who played with Maryland at the same time. And then me and him wound up talking, and I was ready to go to Maryland. We on the phone, everything. Next thing you know, as soon as I hung the phone up, I get a call from the gym. Like, hey, come down here. And Big John just straight laughing the whole time. I'm sitting there laughing, like, what is he laughing for? He's like, you going to Maryland? He laughing the whole time. You know how he is, so you already know he's fucking obnoxious. Cool, great man though. I can never say anything negative about him other than motherfucker ain't give me no playing time. But great man. I can never knock that. Like, you know, being young, you really don't realize somebody who's good for you. Mm-hmm. But he exposed me to so much. That's why, like, after I finished college and was playing ball, I was able to travel and go to all these different places by myself and play basketball, be able to take care of myself, do all that because him. Like, nobody around Congress Park, my family ain't going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But this man had us going everywhere. Took us overseas, take us to Vegas, and have dinner, and, you know, dress up, putting suits on the planes, and how to talk to people, how to find dining, and all this stuff. He did that. That, like, I ain't had no. I had a father figure, but he ain't exposed me to the stuff that John did. So John definitely was a person who made boys to men. That's for sure. I give him all that credit in the world, and that's far more important than anything for basketball. But being young, I didn't understand that, you know, because if I understood that, I would have never left, you know. But between that and then just being home was why I transferred, though. Mm-hmm. It wasn't even really too much basketball.
So what happened with Merlin?
Oh no, he
put the brakes on that.
Yeah, he laughed because the phones. Check this out. Our phone system wasn't AT&T. What else was going on back there? Something began with a C. What was that joint? It was one
Singular. No, Singular was the S.
Yeah, it was.
So the calls going straight to him.
It was something else. Our phone system on campus was called the Hoya Net.
So they was intercepting the calls?
They was intercepting the calls. As soon as I hung up, the phone rang right back and said, come down to the office. I went down to the office. I didn't know what it was for. And probably I thought it was probably busy, you know, because I'm on the phone. They probably been trying to call.
So they allowed you to go to
Northeastern. But they didn't know I was going to Northeastern because I did come back to school.
Oh, okay.
So the next year, my junior year, supposed to be my junior year, I came back to Georgetown. I was on campus. I was going to classes. I just wouldn't go to the gym. I was rebellious as hell. I ain't go to no workouts. I ain't go to practice. I ain't do nothing.
You didn't believe me. You went there 3 years.
Yeah. So the reason I was there, just going to class. But the reason I didn't stay and go was because he put the brakes on Maryland. I would have been stuck. I ain't really talked to nobody. I ain't had nobody talking for me. I couldn't reach out. Because the whole trick bag when I went to Georgetown, if I'd have known UCLA was recruiting me, I wouldn't have went to Georgetown. That was like my favorite school. And my freshman year, they won the chip. With Tyus Edney and Ed O'Bannon. They ain't had no shooting guard.
Right.
I wouldn't have had to do nothing but just spot up, probably. I mean, I'd have played, because that's up and down. That's probably more my style anyway, West Coast. But I'd have been, what? I'd have been at UCLA. I found that out in the paper. Lonnie chose Georgetown over NC State, UCLA. I was like, I did. I was like, I did.
Sports writer.
Shit, yeah, man. I would have been like, what?
That's crazy.
So you go to coach. Go ahead. So you had to confront coach on going to how was that whole process?
No, so I ain't do nothing. He gave me my space. Like when I was on campus and stuff, he ain't say nothing. He ain't do nothing. He ain't put no pressure. They ain't drop my classes. They ain't kick me out. They ain't do none of that. I think they did think I was coming back because he was hurt that I left. And a lot of my teammates told me that and everything. And even when I came back in the summers to play in the Kinder League, I go over there out of respect to shake his hand when he's sitting by the door. He'd just be like this. Right. No eye contact, won't talk to me or nothing. So I know he was hurt over that. Right. But I went to Northeastern because they was on a quarter system. Mm-hmm. I left school in like January and went to Northeastern. They was on a quarter system. So their system is totally different. Like Georgetown is semesters, quarters is just 3, and they different times of the year. So their next quarter had started in January, and Northeastern was one of the schools that recruited me really, really hard. Okay. So that was like before I got into the high level. Right, so that was one of the schools, and the coaches really the assistant coach was real cool. He came to my mother's house, took us to dinner, all that stuff, because I ain't going no visits, I ain't do nothing of that. Right. Until Northeastern, I went to Northeastern, but so I was just like, man, I'm coming to Northeastern. It wasn't like no options or anything like that. Because I ain't know nothing about it. I ain't had no guidance. I ain't had nobody tell me nothing.
Did they say you started out averaging 16.6 or something, 16.9?
Yeah. And Northeastern was okay, I thought. while I was there, I ain't know no better because, you know, the first they say people from DC got attitude problems. So you want to be the good guy. You don't want to go nowhere always having issues. And then I transferred too. But the part I didn't realize until I got older and so I started playing more basketball was Northeastern wasn't really a good situation because the first year the team was good. We went to the championship, but we lost to Drexel, Malik Rose. He played with San Antonio. He got ring with them. He was the best player in the conference. He averaged like 19, some crazy rebounds. But the coach I had, he came from UConn. So he didn't use me for my abilities. He didn't let me get out in transition. He didn't let me handle the ball and do all this stuff. I was coming off curls all the time, catching shoe stuff. I never was beating nobody off the dribble and things like that. I was fine because I was still averaging 16. That's a lot in college. But it wasn't my game.
Right.
And I didn't realize that until way years later after I started playing pro ball and things like that. I was like, wow, like he still kind of held me back too. Because if he'd have let me open.
No, I'm sorry. You shared or either broke records with Reggie Lewis?
Reggie Lewis, yeah. So I ain't beat us overall,
I
but.
thought Reggie Lewis went to Northwestern.
Northeastern?
He went to Northeastern?
Northeastern.
Oh, okay.
I met him before he passed away too. So Reggie told me, he was like, whenever you coming off a screen, you running full speed, it's hard to just gather yourself and get your 2 feet and just go straight up. He said, because you're going to drift regardless. But if you drifting like 2 feet like this and you drifting, it's like you leaning more so. He was like, but if you kick your leg out, it don't matter because you still squared and then you could drift and still could shoot the ball. So Reggie had taught me that. But I got him for most points in the game. He had like 42. I had 44. And then I was the fastest to 1,000 with just 2 years. So, but other than that, he got the total record and all that stuff.
How many years did he go there?
All 4.
Oh, see,
Yeah, Reggie
that's the
Lewis.
thing, but you did a great job in catching them.
Yeah,
What you
2.
did in a 2-year span, though. You know what I mean?
Could have did more, man, but you know, trying to just not do too much because I transferred, and then they also everywhere you go, they would tell you that DC players had attitude problems or want to go home, get homesick.
Like being in jail, man. That's what
Yeah, they say you get homesick too.
What did you say?
I said that's just like the dudes in jail. They say DC running jails got attitude problems. I listened to a lot of dudes that came home. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you hear a lot about DC dudes in jail, boy. Good Lord.
You had a question?
So having him or
So back then, which is popular now in today's basketball.
Your mic fucked up, Wayne.
No, it ain't. Here's the question after. Yeah, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a break, man. And then hold your question when we come back. We about to take a break. We're gonna be back with Lonnie and Harrell, Prime Objective.
35 double O. Where they at? There they go.
Yes, sir.
We are one.
4,000 bras. They said he fucked 4,000.